Hey, Marty with Golf Strategy School here, and I just want to take a couple minutes and talk to you about really three of the biggest reasons why you're struggling to break 90 and how you can go about avoiding them if you're playing this weekend. So the first one is it really comes down to not knowing how far your clubs go. A lot of people who are higher handicappers, they play their perfect distance. You know, what was the perfect shot? And that's the distance that they end up playing for every shot, rather than playing what the average result is. So if you say that your 7-iron goes 150 yards, that should be the average result, not the result of the perfect shot. For me personally, my 8-iron is my 150 club, and I know that, you know, at 3/4 of a swing, 3/4 power, I'm gonna get about 148 with that club. If I go full swing, I'm gonna be at about 156, and if I absolutely max it out, if I'm like white knuckling trying to really kill it, then I might push it outwards of like 160, 162. So it's important to know how far your clubs go. Matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and just drop that in the comments below. What is your 150 club? Now, what I want you to do is next time you're at the range, I want you to take 20 golf balls, go laser a flag somewhere on the range, take 20 balls, and I want you to hit them at that distance and then track whether they're short or long. So if you have about 10 on each side, then you know that that actually is the right distance for your club. But if you're telling me that your 7-iron is your 150 club and you hit 15 of the 20 shots short of the green, guess what? Your 7-iron is not your 150 club, and continuing to play it as your 150 club is going to hurt you. So when we're talking about, you know, those reasons that we can't break 90, another one of them is really kind of lack of commitment to your shot, like your target, specifically your target. When we see people who are trying to play that conservative line, a lot of times they're still kind of in the back of their mind pin hunting. And this actually comes from our good buddy Josh Boggs, who was on the podcast about a month back. He was sharing a story about how one of his students was playing a conservative line. He had trouble on the left-hand side of the green, and the pin was on the left-hand side. And so he was just aiming at the right-hand edge of the green. Feet were lined up at the right-hand edge of the green, shoulders, hips, everything was going right at the right-hand edge of the green. But he still made a swing towards the flag, trying to draw it in, because he figured, hey, if I'm aimed at the right-hand side of the green, that's all I have to do. I can still try and draw this bad boy in and actually get it to the flag. Well, what you're doing when you're not committing to your target line like that is you're actually making yourself hit a much more difficult shot. So if you're struggling to break 90, you need to just focus on learning what your ball does on the average shot, on the most consistent basis. You know, what can you do most consistently? For this player, they hit pretty well, or they hit pretty long. They were trying to play a straight shot into that right-hand edge of the green, but subconsciously they wanted the ball to go to the flag. So they tried to hit a hook into that pin. Well, they did. They hit too much of a hook, and they actually found the bunker, which was the trouble, off the left-hand side of the green. So when we're talking about committing to these shots, what you really, really need to do is you need to be able to accept the fact that your target line may not land you on the green or in the fairway. If we're talking about like water on the right hand side and you're trying to aim at the left hand side of the fairway, you need to accept the fact that your ball may not land in the absolute perfect spot. Now the thing is, when we're talking about approaching greens, we're trying to avoid pin hunting there, and that's really what this is about. So if you're approaching a green and you're aiming at the right edge because there's trouble on the left-hand side, the fact of the matter is you still might miss left and only have like a 10 or a 12 foot putt for birdie. You know, sometimes the ball is going to literally bounce your way in that respect, but other times it's not. And you have to be okay with that, because the fact of the matter is, you know, you might miss a little bit to the right and not be anywhere on the green sometimes. But you know what? That's a heck of a lot better than overcorrecting, overdrawing it to the flag or towards, like, if you've got water on that side. It's so much better to have to chip onto a green than to dig yourself out of like a greenside bunker, or to have to take a drop because you're in a hazard. Just ask yourself that. Would you rather play a 30-yard bunker shot or a 30-yard chip? Because that's really, you know, what you're determining by not committing to your shot line. Okay, so our third one, talking about reasons why you really struggle to break 90. And this is, I mean, really it's common for a lot of people, even beyond, you know, more skilled golfers than like the 18 handicap. And that is taking the wrong shot based on the circumstance. So this always brings to mind for me a quote from Craig Jones. He's the founder of Face First Golf. And he said on the podcast, don't follow a bad shot with a dumb one. And that's really what we're talking about. So let's say you hit that bad shot. You duff one off the tee. All right, you're playing a par 4. It's 380 yards long. You only hit it 50 yards because you duffed your tee shot. That's okay. I would rather see you hit a 7-iron 150 yards up the fairway and then have a 200-yard shot into the green than try to pull out your 3-wood in the rough and try and smoke it 250. Because you know what? You're probably going to duff it again. So that's what we're talking about when we say don't follow a bad shot with a dumb one. Look at your lie. Look at your conditions. Do you have like a monster wind in your face? Well, maybe that's not the right shot for you then. You know, you need to just be more conservative, take a nice easy swing that you can hit solid so the wind doesn't take the ball away. Now, the way to work your way around this is to kind of visualize what your shot is. And the easiest way to visualize is to actually say what you're trying to do out loud. So, you know, let's put ourselves in that situation again. We were playing a 380-yard par 4. We've duffed one 30 yards. We've got 350 yards to go. We're in deep rough because we're just off the tee box. All right. If I hear my student say, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a 3-wood, or honestly even like a rescue club out of deep rough, and I'm going to try and hit it 200 to 230 yards up the middle of the fairway, I'm going to say that is a catastrophic hole waiting to happen. Because what happens if you duff it another 30 yards? Well, now you're 320 yards away and you're lying 2. You're hitting 3. So it's so much better just to take your medicine. You know, first rule is when you're in trouble, step 1, get out. Find the fairway and move along. I would much rather see you take a double bogey than have to write down a 9 or, heaven forbid, a 2-digit number. So those are really the 3 biggest reasons why we see amateurs struggling to break 90. And those are the different ways that you can work yourselves around them. So when it comes to it, if you're playing this weekend, hopefully you can put those tips into practice and you can let me know exactly how that worked. Until next time, I will catch you in the short grass. Cheers, everybody.